There are a handful of perfume houses making some of the most beautiful fragrances in the world, and almost no one has heard of them. Not because they lack the craft, not because the compositions are thin, or the longevity disappointing, or the raw materials second rate, but because they have never bought a single page in a glossy magazine, never hired a celebrity to stand in front of their bottles, and never paid for a prime position at the department store counter. And that is precisely why you have been steered past them, quietly and continuously, for most of your life. I'm Vivian Marchand. I've been buying, wearing, and studying perfume since I was a young woman, and I want to be honest with you about where I've arrived. After decades at those counters, after a great many expensive mistakes and a few genuine discoveries, this is what I know. Some of the most beautiful fragrance being made today carries a name you have never once been encouraged to ask for. No hype tax, no campaign budget, just the perfume. You've spent decades trusting your own nose. You know when a room smells expensive versus when it just costs a lot. You've held enough bottles, paid enough money, and been disappointed enough times by something that performed beautifully in the shop and evaporated on your skin by noon. To understand that what you're paying for at a luxury counter is not always what you think you're paying for. So here's the question the industry hopes you never sit with long enough to answer. Why does the house with the smaller marketing budget so often make the more interesting perfume? The answer, once you understand it, is not complicated. They simply can't afford to spend the money anywhere else, so they spend it on the juice. By the end of this, you will have 5 names, 5 standout scents, and the honest price each one actually commands. And I will tell you where each one falls short as well, because every house has a where it falls short, and the woman who trusts her own nose deserves to know what that is before she buys. But first, what separates a genuine hidden gem from a house that's simply good at seeming exclusive? Because those two things are not the same, and learning to tell them apart is the whole skill here. The woman the counter loves is the one who buys the name. She comes in, she smells the top note, bright, beautiful, expensive, designed to perform exactly this function in exactly 30 seconds. And she's reached for her card before the fragrance has had a chance to develop or disappoint her. She buys the bottle, she buys the story, she buys the velvet bag and the little card that says something about a Parisian garden or a master perfumer's vision. Recognition, to her, is the point. I was that woman. I was her for longer than I would like to admit. The woman I'm talking to today buys the perfume. She's interested in what actually happens on her skin over the course of a real day. She knows that recognition and quality are entirely different things, and that the most famous bottle in the room is not always the best smelling one. Now, let me tell you how I came to know the first house on this list, and the story matters, so stay with me. Years ago, I was in Paris, walking through a neighborhood I didn't know well, and I found a small perfume shop run by a woman named Madame Lia. There was no grand sign outside, no counters with theatrical lighting arranged to make the bottles glow, just shelves running from the floor to the ceiling, organized by character and smell rather than by brand, and a woman behind the counter who had spent 30 years stocking what she believed in rather than what she'd been paid to promote. She handed me a bottle I had never seen, a house I'd never heard of, and said only, "This one doesn't need a campaign." She was right, and I have never forgotten her for it. Composite curators like Madame Leia still exist in small perfume boutiques in provincial cities and market towns, quietly maintaining a knowledge of fragrance that the conglomerate-run counter has long since abandoned. They are the last honest librarians of scent. The houses they stocked, the ones that survived without a marketing department, are exactly what I am going to tell you about today. The first is Lattafa, and specifically a fragrance called Khamrah. Say it slowly, K-H-A-H-M, Ra. It means wine in Arabic, and once you understand that, the composition makes sense. Lattafa is a UAE-based house, one of the largest Arabic perfume producers working today, And Khamrah is what happens when a house with genuine technical resources decides to build something for the love of the accord rather than for a trend report. The top opens with cinnamon, nutmeg, and bergamot warm, slightly heady, the kind of top note that arrives in a room ahead of you. The heart settles into dates, praline, tuberose, and something called mahonial, which is a synthetic wood note with a dark fruity quality. And the base, this is where Khamrah earns its place on this list, is vanilla, tonka bean, amberwood, myrrh, and benzoin. All of it working together, none of it at war with the rest. The sillage on this fragrance in its first 3 hours competes directly with niche oriental compositions costing $200 and above. I mean that carefully and accurately. I have worn both. The gap in quality between them is not what you have been led to believe it is. You will find a 100 milliliter bottle of Khamrah for approximately $35. Against what it delivers, that is somewhere between generous and absurd. Now here's the honest part. Khamrah is sweet, and it is rich, and it is warm, and it is not a fragrance for a humid afternoon in August. It is a cold weather fragrance, a fireside fragrance, a fragrance for the kind of dark afternoon when the idea of wrapping yourself in something heavy and beautiful makes complete sense. If sweet orientals are not your register, if you find heavy vanilla and spice compositions cloying, this is not your fragrance. But if that world is where you live, Khamrah is one of the most generously constructed, most technically accomplished things available at this price. The house also makes a flanker called Khamrah Qahwa, same DNA, slightly cooler, with a coffee and cardamom inflection that gives the whole thing a bit more lift, and I would recommend you investigate both. The second house I want to tell you about has perhaps the least glamorous name in perfumery, and I say this as someone who nearly let that stop her. Armaf. The fragrance is Club de Nuit Intense Woman. I know, it sounds like a generic nightclub release from 2005. The bottle is heavy glass with gold lettering. Nothing about it invites you in. I avoided it for a decade, walked past it in discount fragrance shops, dismissed it on the basis of how it presented itself. I will be very clear. I avoided this bottle for a decade because the bottle looked cheap. The bottle is cheap. The juice is not, and that snobbery cost me 10 years of wearing something lovely. Club de Nuit Intense Woman is a dark, jammy, spiced rose kai. Say it, chypre. Top notes of rose, saffron, and geranium, an opening that is warm and a little dangerous and very much its own thing. The heart brings nutmeg, pepper, violet, and caraway, which gives it this almost gothic spiciness, something rooted and complex underneath the floral. And the base resolves into patchouli, oud, vanilla, and amber, an oud that is not aggressive, not the kind of oud that announces itself before you've entered the building, but a deep and woody warmth that carries the whole composition into something genuinely opulent. The longevity is remarkable for the price. 8 hours is a consistent figure in reviews, sometimes more. With real projection in the first several hours, a sillage, say it, that people around you will notice without finding overwhelming. I think this fragrance is frequently mentioned in the fragrance community as sharing some DNA with Coco Mademoiselle by Chanel COH Co Ma Demoiselle. It is inspired by, in the spirit of, in the same broad family. I will not tell you it is identical. It is not. No inspired by construction is, and if someone tells you otherwise, they are selling you something. What I will tell you is that this fragrance is entirely its own thing, and its own thing is genuinely good. You will pay $20 to $30 American for a full bottle. At that price, this is not a dupe. This is a perfume. Now, here is where it gets interesting. The third house is one of the oldest Arabic perfume families still working in the classical tradition, And the reason I want you to know about it is specifically because of what happened when the major Western houses discovered oud. Haramain say it, Haramain, founded in Saudi Arabia in 1970. They have been making Arabian oud and amber compositions for longer than most of the niche houses you've been told to aspire to have existed. And then, about 15 years ago, the great Western conglomerates discovered oud. They packaged it, softened it, gave it French or English names with a vaguely Eastern reference, and charged $300 for the privilege of smelling an approximation of something that Arabic houses had been refining for generations. Al Haramain did not change what it made, it simply kept making it. The counter had no particular interest in showing it to you, but it was always there. The fragrance I want you to know from this house is the Amber Oud Gold Edition. Bergamot and green notes open the top fresh, a little citrus bright. This settles quickly into the heart, which is where the magic sits. Melon, pineapple, amber, and a rich gourmand accord that is sweet without becoming saccharine. The base is vanilla, musk, and woody notes, warm, quiet, lasting. Reviewers consistently report 7 to 8 hours of genuine projection, with the fragrance then settling into a skin scent that carries for another 6 hours or so beyond that. Total wear of 12 to 14 hours is a figure I have seen cited repeatedly, and it has been consistent with my experience of this style of composition. A 60 milliliter bottle, 2 ounces, comes in at approximately $35 to $40 depending on retailer. I will give you the honest caveat, and please hear it. This is a powerful fragrance. It projects. It has sillage. 1 spray on a cooler day will be noticed. 2 sprays in a warm room will fill the room. If you are sensitive to very strong fragrances, or if you run warm, begin with 1 spray and let your skin tell you what it needs. This is not a fragrance for the shy wearer. It was never designed to be. It was designed to be worn and to be smelled, and within those parameters, it is exceptional. The 4th house, you already know the name of. That's part of why it belongs here. Zara makes perfume. You know this. You have walked past the carousel every time you were in the store, almost certainly because you assumed it was a retail afterthought, a fashion brand stamping its logo on something generic aimed at the teenager shopping for jeans in the next section. And for some of the range, I will grant you, that impression is fair. But Zara has, over the last decade, collaborated with real perfumers on some genuinely interesting compositions. And the one I keep coming back to is Twilight Mauve. Twilight Mauve is a floral, fruity fragrance, apple, watermelon, violet, and passion fruit at the top, peony, freesia, iris, and honeysuckle in the heart, and musk, cedar, and ambergris in the base. It wears the way a very fine soap smells at its best. Not cheaply, not obviously, but with a clean, skin-close, almost intimate quality that makes people lean toward you rather than step back. There is something quietly accomplished about a fragrance that does exactly that, that creates presence without creating noise. 6 to 8 hours of wear on most skin types. Approximately $20 to $25 for 90 milliliters. This is the kind of fragrance I would wear on a Tuesday. On a day when I have not decided to make a statement, have not decided to be noticed, but want to feel well-dressed from the neck up for the full length of a day spent running errands, having lunch with a friend, and arriving home without having to think once about reapplying. A perfume for living in rather than arriving in. Not every bottle needs to announce itself. There is, I think, real skill in making something this wearable, this consistently well, the kind of skill the industry rarely rewards, because a fragrance this easy to live with does not drive the same urgency to buy more. My honest qualification here, Twilight Mauve will not turn heads across a room. It will not get you the compliment from across the table at dinner, from a stranger who leans in and asks what you're wearing. It is a close-to-the-skin fragrance, intimate in its reach, and if you need your perfume to travel, this is not the one. Some days, that is a limitation. Other days, most days, Perhaps it is exactly what a fragrance should be. The fifth house requires a slightly different kind of honesty from me, because it operates on a model that is openly different from the others on this list, and I think you deserve to understand that before you decide what you think of it. Dossier is a French brand, made in Grasse, and it builds its entire range around what it openly and transparently calls inspirations. Every Dossier fragrance is inspired by a specific luxury original. They tell you which one. They describe the notes, they explain the inspiration on the product page, and they charge between $29 and $39 for a 50 milliliter bottle. They do not hide what they do. That transparency is, I would argue, more honest than a great deal of what you find behind the counter. The fragrance I would direct you toward is their Ambery Saffron. It is inspired by a celebrated saffron amber composition from the niche world, a construction built around the warmth of saffron against a rich amber base with leather and rose threading through it. On Dossier, this accord wears for 8 to 10 hours with genuine sillage, and it costs less than $30 for 50 milliliters. Now, I want to be precise about what I mean and what I do not mean. A Dossier fragrance is not the same as the fragrance that inspired it. The raw materials differ, the concentrations differ, the way it develops on your skin over 6 hours will differ. Some of the finest details that make the original exceptional will not be present in the inspired by version. If you own the original and love it deeply, you will know the difference. What I am saying is that the accord is genuinely beautiful, the construction is genuinely competent, and the performance is genuinely good, and a woman who has spent decades developing her taste does not have to spend $250 to wear a saffron amber composition if she chooses not to. Dossier is one of her options, and they are honest about what they do. That matters to me. It should matter to you. Tell me in the comments what you're wearing today and how long it lasts on your skin and your skin type, if you know it. Dry skin, oily skin, warm climate, or cold climate, it all makes a real difference to how a fragrance performs. And I want to build a real record from real women so that the next woman who finds this channel knows what to expect, not just what the marketing says. Next time, I'm going to tell you about something that was in every woman's bathroom cabinet before 1958, quietly removed and replaced with a product that costs more and does less. You're going to want to hear that one. Until next time, let the counter keep its secrets. You've spent a lifetime training it, and what you wear should reflect you, not someone else's marketing budget.